head and passes through our throat. Not only does it sample it, but it's a place where we set up a learning system. This is where we teach the immune system to recognize the things in our environment. And so basically, the tonsils are not protective mechanisms in that regard against an infection. The tonsils are a place of immunological learning because we invite the antigens in so we can create antibodies against them. By definition, the tonsils are designed for oral vaccination, meaning anything you put into your mouth, the tonsils will facilitate an immune response against anything that's not part of your normal body. And then why this becomes important is then if you recognize the nature of infants and their behavior and realize what do infants do, they put everything they can find and fit into their mouth, their own fist, arm, leg, foot, anything they find in their nappies, anything they find in their crib, anything you hand them, they will instinctively put it into their mouth. This is not an accident. This is nature's natural immune vaccination system. What is the baby doing? It's sampling the environment. Everything in its environment will inevitably end up in its mouth. In this process, the infant is actually introducing antigens into the immune system and initiating an immune response so that the immune system is learning about the environment. Well, in the old days, before we were so caught up in sterilizing everything in which we live, a child would have, as they say, a peck of dirt swallowed by the time it reached adulthood. And yet, this was a very important aspect of our development. It wasn't an accident. Nature designed us to take this in because what it was doing was allowing the infant to learn about the environment via the immune system. Everything in the world would be learned by that immune system. But then we have to go back and recognize this. When the immune system evolved, before planes, trains, and automobiles, an individual stayed in their same environment for their whole life. If they went 20 miles away from their house, that would be an epic, heroic journey for them. And significance is then based on this. If they were staying in the same environment, the immune system, by puberty, would learn all of the different things in the environment because by puberty, we would have put everything into our mouth or some way been exposed to it. And that is why the immune system begins to dismantle itself at around puberty. The thymus is the large center of immune education. This organ gets smaller and smaller and smaller. By puberty, it's just actually basically remnants of its original self. You say, well, why would the immune system take itself apart? And the answer is simple. In the old days, we would have sampled everything we would have ever experienced by the time we reach puberty. Maintaining a high-powered intensity immune system after that would be a waste of time because by then, the infant would have been exposed to everything in its own world. And that's why the immune system begins to shut down. It didn't count on us creating the planes and the trains and the automobiles, though. And therefore, now we challenge ourselves because as adults, we may move from one environment to another environment and then be exposed to new antigens, or new foreign things in that environment, which is a little bit of a challenge for us as we get older because we're not operating at full immune capacity. So there's a very important point. It says this: is it beneficial to take an injection of an antigen and inject it under the skin to induce the immune system to respond? Or is there a better way? And the answer is, of course there's a better way. The way nature does it. All vaccines should be, by definition, oral vaccines. Is because this is the natural mechanism of reading the environment. When you bypass the natural mechanism and insert the antigens under the skin, you fool the system. Because at all entry points to the body, the system has sentry guards to see what's coming into the body and create an awareness of it for the system of what's in there. If you go underneath the skin, you begin to introduce something that there are no sentries for, no guides to say, hey, what happened in this area? All of a sudden, there are antigens that showed up. How'd they get here? Not through any normal way that the body knows. So the first thing is you've tricked the immune system, but not in a natural way. You've confused it. The natural way is orally to bring something into the body, okay? And now also, as a child is developing its immune system, it's not up to full operation in its infancy when we give a large amount of vaccines to the infant and the newborn child. Their immune systems aren't tooled up to handle that much, especially coming from an introduction that is not normal in any sense of biology. So basically, forcing the immune system to respond to these vaccinations in an abnormal way is not in the best interest of the system. It's not the way it normally deals with it. And therefore, we're beginning to find that vaccines are very likely causing many kinds of problems because of what they introduce into the system. Not just the foreign cells and bacteria and the viruses or pieces of the parasites that they use, but also the chemistry in which the vaccines are created, which include a lot of mercury and aluminum and a lot of other things such as formaldehyde, which are poisons and put into the system. So basically it says that we're trying to enhance the immune system at the same time we're essentially overpowering it with poisons and toxins. Every time humans think they know better than Mother Nature, we have to pay a big price for that problem. And I think we're paying a price for that problem in our world today with the amount of hypersensitivity, the amount of autism, and the introduction of new maladies that are associated with dysfunctions of the immune system. Because we're manipulating a system that we really didn't understand how it works. And so rather than telling the immune system, I want you to work this way, it's in our best interest to say, immune system, how do you work? And I would like to work with you in this regard. And this will lead us into another realm of understanding of how to create a healthy body. When it comes to vaccinations, please realize, nature already gave us a vaccination system. What we should have our scientists do is focus on how we can best use that system rather than trying to avoid it entirely and inject vaccines under our skin.